Adoma, hari ke yu malam king. Kuba. Di tholi ya chip ju na be ke.
Today, I would like to offer my greetings to everyone who's come to the 39th Kajimalam, especially Zhong Goshur Gyatso Rinpoche,
Bushi. Bushi shok yu. Be.
foremost among all the lamas, tulkus, and spiritual friends, all of the Ocean of the Sangha, and all of the faithful men and women who have come. I'd like to offer you my greetings. This Kajumanam was begun in the 1980s by the previous Kala Rinpoche, as well as the late past previous Boka Rinpoche. And so they began by reciting the Noble Aspiration Prayer of Excellent Conduct, and that was like the seeds of our Kajumanam. And then gradually, then His Eminence Boka Rinpoche, because of his aspiration and conduct, was made it into the Kaju Sangha Manam. And then gradually, it developed and it became the Kaju Manam. The name was changed to Kaju Manam. And it has become a place for all of the different schools to join together, and in particular for the Kaju monks and nuns, as well as all the lay people. But it's a very important gathering for the Dharma. No, and actually, in particular for this history. When we look at the history, during the time of the seventh Karmapa Chodai Gyatso, there was the aspiration of the Great Encampment. And so this was primarily held during the time of the Festival of Miracles. It is during the festival of the Great Shakyamuni Buddha. And so the Milnam was held at this time and at that time. And they had the main statue, the gondola statue from the Great Encampment, as the main support, and many other really amazing statues and blessed articles. And they made vast offerings to these. And so it became like a vast aspiration where we just naturally gathered, where people naturally gathered a lot of that. And so for this reason, this great aspiration, the great Munam that we were holding, is like a sign of the flourishing of the Kaju Temples. No, during the time of the 10th Karmapa tree in Dorje, the Mongolians came to central Tibet and they destroyed the Great Encampment. And after that, there was no Kajumanam. So now we hold the Kajumanam here in the sacred place of Bodh Gaya. And we have a great number of Sangha members gathering. And so we hold this great aspiration where we gather the accumulations of merit. And so historically, this is a really important event. Now, as we speak about, for example, when we think about the previous Kagyu masters, we each have our own, in our Kagyu monasteries, we have our own pujas that we hold up, but we have the one opportunity we have is to gather at the end of the lunar year and to hold the Kagyu Munam. For example, here we all gather here and we hold this aspiration here. And so for that reason, it is a place for all of our Kagyu monasteries to come together and to become into one, and it's actually a large stage or a large opportunity for us. Not only that, There are many faithful people who come from all over the world who come to Bodh Gaya, which is, of course, Bodh Gaya is the most important sacred Bodhi site, and there are many people who come here. And so for that reason, and so during the winter, when the pilgrims come here in the winter, the weather is good, and so for these reasons, many pilgrims also come to Bodh Gaya, and on the side of it, they also come visit the Kaji Mundam. And so there are many faithful people from all over the world who gather also at this place, and this also makes it a really special occasion. And so for this reason, the Kaji Mundam is actually extremely important. It is a really meaningful thing. However, in the last few years, partially because of the epidemic, many people did not have a very easy time traveling. And in addition to that, since I have not been able to attend for this reason, that primarily there are fewer people from abroad who have come. And so this is the situation that we're in. However, as I mentioned before, holding the Kaji Mundam is not just like any worldly gathering where you all do hectic things and make a lot of noise. It's actually it's a gathering, the accumulation of merit for the sake of ourselves and for all sentient beings. So it's not just a place where we have a hectic week. So no matter how many people there are, the Kaji Mundam itself, the meaning of the Kaji Mundam or the benefit of the Kaji Mundam or the aim of the Kaji Mundam is something that we can identify and that we can see it. And so this is not at all contradictory to the fact that it is meaningful. So in the past, people really considered it very important, and in the future, I'd like to think that people should consider this Mundam to be very important. Historically, whether we think about it historically or whether we think about in terms of the situation of Buddhism in the present, it is it's important for us to really recognize that this is how important this is. And additionally, in this Mundam, the great regent of the Karmapas, Drungoshi Gyatso Rinpoche, gave teachings on pointing out the three kayas of Ranchen Dorje. Pointing out the three kayas is actually one of the special teachings of the Karmapas. And so this began with became first emphasized by the second Karma, Karma Pakchi. And so these profound pith instructions we now all had the opportunity to receive these special pith instructions directly from Goshuri Gyatso Rinpoche. We should all think about appreciate this and Rinpoche, despite his own physical condition, and gave this teaching without any holding back. Next, the second point is that Bokar Choto Rinpoche is here. Now, Bokar Choto Rinpoche we seem to be having some technical problems. So the Lord of Refuge, Bokar Choto Rinpoche, this year was enthroned in a ceremony, as everyone knows. The previous Bokar Rinpoche was in general had a very strong kindness and very beneficial for the Kaji teachings in general, in particular for the Kagyu Monlam in particular. And so now for Bokor Chochol Rinpoche now to be throned, it seems like I thought it was good for us to make a Dharma connection with him at the Kagyu Monlam. And so I thought if he gave the teachings on the Chenesic practice, all pervading benefit for beings, I thought that this would be a good interdependent condition for all of us. And so I requested Rinpoche to give these teachings. And Rinpoche gave the teachings on the Avalokiteshvara of our practice, the all-pervading benefit for beings. And so this went very well. And so Rinpoche himself, I would like to ask in particular thanks to Rinpoche. And in particular now, we, as usual, whenever we have the Monam, the Soman Rinpoche and Mingyu Rinpoche, always come to the Monam. And so they're really very kind. They're very, we'd like to so these two Rinpoches are among the Kagyu Lamas. They're among the ones with a greater activity, and they have great experience and of the present times. And so if these two Rinpoches continue to preserve, uphold, and spread the teachings, and this is something that we all hope for, that we all expect. And so this is something that I think we can leave it within. And so I think that, and so we did ask Soman Gyaltsen Rinpoche to give a little bit of a teaching during the pre-Millennium teachings, but Soman Gyaltsen Rinpoche had already had some scheduled. And so I think next year, if he can give an introduction to the Sormang oral lineage, because in our Kamsang we have the Sormang Kagyu. Outside, only people in the Sormang Kagyu pay attention to it. Other people don't take too much of an interest in it. So I'd like to. So if we can speak about the history of these, if you can give a talk on the history of this, I think this will be very beneficial. Likewise, Kyabje Mingyu Rinpoche is very busy all over the world in the East and West, and I think if you could give meditation instructions are really very beneficial for everyone. And so in the past, Rinpoche has given meditation instructions at the Monam. It is very beneficial, and I hope in the future that he can continue to teach a meditation at the Monam. And so this is my own personal hope for him. Now, other than this, during the Monam, we have everyone who came to the. We also have Ken Rinpoche Lodo Dunya who has come. If we think about him, he was inseparable from the previous Bokor Rinpoche, like a body in its shadow. And so he always has been coming to this, and he's been continue to come. And I hope that he continue to come in the future. Now, even though Rinpoche is getting to a rather old age, but he's still in good health, and as long as he's still with Bokor Chochol Rinpoche, he's very something that we all hope that he continue to stay with Bokor Chochol Rinpoche. And this is something we can all be very happy about. It's worthy of us rejoicing in. So I'd like to give a special thanks to Ken Rinpoche. And as in the past, I've said before, and last year I said, I hope that Rinpoche can live for long for the sake of being in the teachings. I think I'd like to ask Rinpoche to please give some impetus and give some mental impetus to this idea. Now, in the past year or so, we have one of our lamas who has been very beneficial for our teachings, and this is Khenpo Tsoten Gyatso Rinpoche. And actually, Rinpoche himself, when he was in Tibet, spent many years in a retreat and achieved a very high level of practice. And then, after he fled as a refugee, he came to Rumtek, and he was very, very kind to stay there, very beneficial. And for many of the Lama Trulku and Lamas and Trulkus who graduated from Rimtek Shedar were part of his lineage. And so now Rinpoche has passed away. Now that he has passed away, it's very unfortunate, but from another perspective, even the great beings have such great aspirations for benefiting sentient beings and great rousing for this. It's like they have some idea that they have one time that they're doing it, another time that they're not. So I'm sure that in the future, that for the benefit of sentient beings and the teachings, he will repeatedly come back to the world and perform activity to benefit sentient beings. And so this is my own aspiration prayer. Like I say, how the Kyoto Teni Rinpoche, and who was recognized by the previous Karmapa, and he was a very important Lama at the Chodat Monastery. And so for the bottom Kagyu lineage, he was one of the upholders of the of that lineage. And he suddenly passed away. Even though he was very young, he passed away. And this is something that we should all understand is very unfortunately. Likewise, the Dharma Lord Ayang Rinpoche of the Drikung Kagyu lineage, Ayang Rinpoche, and he fostered many students by teaching the Drikung teachings on Poa, and he had very vast activities, and in particular, I myself had a very strong connection with him. Rinpoche himself had great faith for all of the previous commoners and great affection for them. It's very different from anyone else. And so for Rinpoche to pass away is something that I found very sad. So I'm sure that I wish that Rinpoche's wishes and intentions all may be spontaneously fulfilled in the future, that he may be able to continue working for the benefit of the teachings and sentient beings. Likewise, and if I think about in this lifetime, one of the most important people in my life are my father and mother. And so for this year, my own father, Karma Dundap Tashi, passed away last year. And so when he passed away, I thought I should say a few things about it, but I really was unable to say much of anything. It's like my feelings are too strong. It's like it's hard to get any words out of my mouth because it's been over 20 years since I've seen him. And I've always thought, I hope to see him. And it's been a very long time, but in the very end, I never met him, and he passed away. And so for my own personally, I feel great regret about this. And my father himself was someone who could actually think about it. So I think it's probably a little bit better with him. He was able to understand things in a wide way. But for myself, I think I'd give a little example. For many years, I never had any direct connection. When I was in India, I was unable to make a direct connection to my parents. I would have to make connections through my sister. And occasionally, maybe twice in a year, I'd be able to actually speak with them and make a connection. But 1 or 2 years before my father passed away, I thought I really have to make a connection. Otherwise, if I can't make it after my father passed away, then I think I'll really regret that. And so I thought that would be best. So I made a connection to him. And sometimes I spoke with him. And when I first made that connection to him, the first time I made a connection to him after it had been several years we hadn't had any conversation. So when I first made the connection to him, my father was unable to say too much because he had a very severe illness. And because of that illness, he had been bedridden for 11 years. And he was unable to say much. He hadn't have the power. He wasn't able to speak. And my mother was nearby him. And so I asked him, and I asked her, and she encouraged him to say a few words. And he was able to say a couple words. And the first thing he said, he was asked, "What are you doing?" I said, "My mother." Then I spoke with my mother. A little bit later, my mother insisted that my father say something. She insisted that she said, when he said that, and what her father said was, he said, you need to spread the Kagyu teachings, he said. So he's asking, how the Kagyu teachings doing? And for him to ask me so much, so after so many years when he hadn't spoken, and all of a sudden he asks me about how the Kagyu teachings are doing. I never thought that he'd ask, and I didn't know what to say. I said, "Oh, it's good." I said, "It's good," and I didn't really know what to say. So when I thought about it, actually, he was like my father. He was somebody that had a very broad vision. In particular, he was able to think about the Kagyu teachings. They thought about the Kagyu teachings, and so for this reason, it was very clear to me that this is how this was. And so for that reason, there are several teachings in our Kagyu, lamas and trulkas. Most of them probably can't think about the same way. And so for he was able to somehow have a very vast understanding, who would think about the beings and sentient beings and able to think about these in a very broad way. And he himself individually had and he was able to not consider his own personal suffering and his own personal difficulties, but to think about that instead. So I don't know, maybe my father's a little bit better, but no matter how much I thought, I was unable to make better than my father. And for many years, he had a very severe illness. But even though he had such a strong illness, but it's not to talk about that and to say something, I thought he had real real enthusiasm, real strength of mind to be able to do this. But I was not able to actually meet him. And so for this reason, I'm sure that he'll gain a good body. Good body. That's my own guess that happened, but still, everyone who's gathered here, please make vast aspirations for his sake. Passed away recently, and he also, in the recent history, was actually a very important personage in the recent Tibetan history. And so for that reason, no, I didn't meet him 1 or 2 times myself, and he really was different than other people. Someone who could really think things through, and is able to come up with new ideas. I often meet many different people, but among them, particularly among Tibetans, I meet a lot of people, and among the Tibetans, I think there are very few people who are like him among Tibetans. And so for him to pass away recently is, as the Dalai Lama spoke about in a talk, from lifetime after lifetime. He is someone who has served the Dalai Lama. Or something, so that is not that he has. That this is his resolve and his aspiration to be able to do this. And so he's making an aspiration that this may be so. And likewise, here, when we think about the situation of the world, it's a very turbulent these days. There are many wars, and there are many people are dividing into different factions and are in conflict with each other. And this is the situation we're in. Likewise, the natural environment is, there are many natural disasters. And particularly since the environmental situation in this world, I think there will be more and more people who have to be not fewer. The disasters in the future, not fewer. And so now we think about Dalai Lama. And this year, we think about this year, there was a large earthquake in Tibet, and many people were passed away. And there were wildfires in America. Such as have never happened in period. For them to happen, so such strong fires to happen. Likewise, there is the Russian war. There is the war in Gaza. It's like temporarily ceasefire, but many people passed away. It's a very terrible situation. And this is another thing that we need to keep in mind. The reason for this is that this planet Earth, we're all living together on this planet Earth. a situation that happens in one country, either directly or indirectly, has an effect on us, whether positive or negative. And so, if in our country, if we think that what we're just in our country, then it doesn't matter what happens in other, but it's not like that. We are all dependent upon each other. We're all connected to each other. And so, if there is a disaster in one, then this brings difficulties for all of us. And so this gives us many difficulties economically and so forth. And so when we think about this, it's very important for us to think about it. And so I think that we're all Mahayana practitioners. We say that we are unable to think about all sentient, but even before we can think about all sentient beings, forget about all sentient beings. If we ever think about all the beings of this world, are we able to wrap our minds around that? And it's important to see if we actually can. So that's one thing. Now, lastly, I have 2 more points to speak about. Tomorrow, we have the long life offering to Chamgon Siddha Rinpoche and the Gyaltsab Rinpoche. And so we have the long life offering by way of the 3 roots combined. This is a Terma revelation of Kanuraj Dojan. We'll make the long life aspiration. And I spent several months, I think probably 5 or 6 months, writing the new Apologism about today. But I haven't got a lot of time to explain it now, so I don't need to say much now. But in case, this Karmapa tradition of the 3 roots combined has really special blessings. It is one of the special ancestral dharmas of the Karma Kamsan. And so for us to make the long life aspiration by way of this, to these 2 gurus, the 2 Rinpoches, who are the heart sons of the 16th Karmapa. So there are 4, and now these days there are only 2 of them left. And so it's very important that these 2 Rinpoches, for all of us in the Kagyu Karma Kamsan, is very important for our teachings. And so please, everyone, make the aspiration. It's very important for everyone to make such aspirations. Now, the second point is that during the Munlam, because it's getting very hot all throughout the world, and it's the heat, and so all of the Sangha have difficulties staying intense because the heat is increasing. In the daytime it's very hot, and in the night it's very cold. And this gives them a lot of problems. And also there have been snakes who've been getting into the tents. And so it's a lot of difficulties and problems. So I think that we had a meeting and we discussed this. So hopefully for the next year's Kagyu somewhat better accommodations for the Sangha members in this. We're going to do what we can to give better educations for next year's Munlam. So in order, so we need to try to make comfortable and nice accommodations for the Sangha. So this is one thing that we'll work on. And Karma has been saying for years that for a long time that he'd like to do it. I considered with him. If I hadn't prevented from, Lama would have already made many buildings already. But we made huge plans, but we weren't able. But I thought if we have huge plans, but we're not able to take care of it, that's not so good. But in any case, we will be discussing what we need to make for next year's, so that all of you come to next year's Munlam. We'll have nice, comfortable education places that are secure. And this is a hope that we all hold. And so I thought I'd mention that to all of you. No, other than that, I don't have anything particular to say. So I'd like to say thank you very much. There are all of the roots of virtue we have gathered. In the Mahayana, there the dedication is very big. Even if you make only a small amount of mission, if you dedicate with a vast aim, then it becomes a huge service because it becomes a large virtue. And so for that reason, it's not just even if we don't have a lot of time, if we know how to invest well, then in the future it becomes something that brings a benefit, right? Like it's important for us to make dedications. If we embrace our virtue or imbue our virtues to dedication, then they become. So I don't have anything else to say in particular. Thank you all very much.